Ladies and gentlemen, imagine waking up every day feeling like you're your own worst enemy. You're not battling someone else, not competing with the world, you're struggling with your own mind. That voice inside, that relentless chatter, that endless stream of doubts, fears, and distractions. The harsh truth is this: your biggest enemy isn't out there, it's inside you. Your uncontrolled mind is the battlefield where your greatest victories and defeats happen. Today I want to take you on a journey, one that reveals how your mind, when left unchecked, can hold you back from living your fullest, most courageous life. But more importantly, I want to show you how to take control. Because when you master your mind, you transform your world. Your mind is an incredible force. It is the birthplace of every idea you've ever had, every dream you've ever dared to imagine, and every innovation that has changed the course of history. It's a vast, complex landscape where creativity flourishes and new possibilities take shape. Yet it's also a wild terrain that, if left unchecked, can turn against you in the blink of an eye. The same mind that can envision a brighter future can also imprison you with doubt, sabotage your confidence, and become your fiercest enemy. This duality is what makes the mind so powerful and why mastering it is the greatest challenge you will ever face. Think about Thomas Edison. He's often remembered as one of the greatest inventors in history. But what's less talked about is the mental battle he fought throughout his journey. When Edison was trying to invent the light bulb, he didn't just fail once or twice. He failed thousands of times. He famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10 zero ways that won't work." Imagine what his mind must have gone through after each failure. The voice inside could have easily whispered, "Give up. This isn't working. You're wasting your time." Many people's minds would have surrendered to that thought immediately, but Edison's mind, at least in those moments, chose something different. Instead of giving into chaos and doubt, he took control. He rewired his thinking to see failure, not as an end, but as part of the journey towards success. This choice, this battle to control his mind, made all the difference. If you let your mind wander unchecked, it will drift into doubt, anxiety, and fear. It will tell you stories about your limitations and magnify every mistake. It will build walls around your potential and convince you to stay safe in the cage of your own making. The mind becomes a prison guard, locking you inside fears and insecurities that prevent you from moving forward. It whispers lies about your worth, your ability, and your future. But it doesn't have to be this way. When you learn to harness the power of your mind, it becomes your greatest ally. The voice inside that once held you back can become the loudest cheerleader in your life. Your mind can transform from a prison into a launching pad, pushing you to create, to innovate, and to rise above challenges. It can light the path where there was once only darkness. It's important to understand that the mind doesn't change overnight. It's a process of constant awareness and choice. Every moment you have the opportunity to decide which voice you listen to. Is it the voice of fear and limitation, or the voice of courage and possibility? This is why so many people get stuck in cycles of negative thinking, because they aren't aware that they have a choice. They believe their thoughts are facts, and they allow the mind to run wild, unchecked, and uncontrolled. Imagine if every time that critical voice inside your head started whispering, you caught it and challenged it. What if you practice seeing those negative thoughts as simply stories your mind is telling you, not truths you must believe? The mind is not your enemy, it's your tool. When you master it, you can use it to build the life you want, rather than tear yourself down. Edison's story is just one example. Consider the story of Oprah Winfrey, who grew up in poverty and faced countless hardships. Her mind could have been a place of defeat, telling her she was unworthy or destined to fail, but instead she learned to control her narrative. She cultivated a mindset of resilience and self-belief that propelled her to become one of the most influential people in the world. Her mind was the battleground, and by choosing control, she turned it into her greatest asset. Your mind is always at work, whether you notice it or not. It can build you up or tear you down. It can fuel your passion or drain your energy. It can keep you stuck or push you forward. What happens in your mind today determines the course of your tomorrow. If you want to change your life, it starts with learning how to work with your mind, not against it. This is not about suppressing your thoughts or pretending that negative feelings don't exist. It's about creating a new relationship with your mind of awareness, compassion, and control. When you practice this, your mind becomes a powerful tool that supports your goals and dreams instead of standing in your way. Take a moment to reflect on your own experiences. How many times has your mind talked you out of trying something new? How many opportunities have you missed because of fear or self-doubt? Now imagine what your life could look like if you chose to master your mind instead of being controlled by it. What if every challenge became a chance to grow rather than a reason to quit? What if the internal voice that once held you back became the voice that pushed you forward with relentless courage? The journey to mastery is not easy, but it is worth every effort. It requires patience, self-awareness, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about how you think and feel. But when you start to gain control of your mind, everything changes. You start to see problems as puzzles to solve instead of threats to avoid. You become more resilient in the face of setbacks. Your confidence grows because you know that your mind is not your enemy, it's your ally. So remember this, the mind is a powerful ally, a dangerous foe. The difference lies in how you choose to engage with it. Will you let it run wild, dragging you into fear and doubt? Or will you take the reins, directing it toward hope, strength, and possibility? The power is in your hands. Your mind can either be the prison that keeps you trapped or the wings that set you free. The choice is yours to make every single day. The voice inside your head, the one that tells you you're not good enough, you'll never succeed, or you don't deserve happiness, is more than just a passing thought. It's one of the deadliest forms of an uncontrolled mind. Negative self-talk quietly seeps into your life, eroding your confidence, poisoning your dreams, and sabotaging your future without you even realizing it. This voice, this relentless critic within, has the power to shape not only your mood, but your very destiny. If you don't learn to control it, it will control you. Negative self-talk feels like an internal conversation, but it's actually a war waged inside your mind. A war that often goes unnoticed, but has devastating consequences. Imagine for a moment the impact of hearing such harsh words repeatedly day after day, not from an external bully, but from your own inner voice. That kind of relentless criticism doesn't just bruise your feelings, it can inflict deep wounds on your psyche. It can shrink your sense of self-worth and create a barrier so strong that it stops you from reaching your full potential. The danger of negative self-talk goes beyond emotional pain. Scientific studies reveal something startling. Negative self-talk can increase stress hormones by up to That means your mind is literally triggering a biochemical storm inside your body. Your heart races, your muscles tense, and your brain becomes clouded with fear and doubt. This physiological response impacts your health, weakening your immune system and making it harder for you to think clearly or make good decisions. This isn't just a mood killer, it's a life killer. When your mind is constantly under siege by negative thoughts, your capacity to thrive diminishes. You become trapped in a cycle where your body and mind are worn down by stress and your spirit is crushed by self-doubt. Yet, despite the damage, negative self-talk is a voice many of us know all too well. It whispers its lies when we face setbacks, when we fall short of our own expectations, or when we step outside our comfort zones. It's the voice that convinces us to settle for less than we deserve, to silence our ambitions, and to shrink away from opportunity. The hardest part is that this voice often masquerades as realism or honesty, fooling us into believing that we are simply being practical or cautious. But this inner dialogue is anything but neutral. It is a weapon disguised as truth. There is, however, a powerful antidote to this destructive inner voice: awareness and choice. Becoming aware that negative self-talk is happening is the first step toward reclaiming control over your mind. When you notice the story your mind is telling you, you gain the opportunity to challenge it. You can ask yourself, is this really true? Am I being fair to myself? This practice of questioning and rewriting your internal narrative is transformative. It is the moment when you stop being a passive victim of your thoughts and become an active author of your story. Consider the story of Maya Angelou, a woman whose life was marked by both profound challenges and incredible triumphs. She once described herself as a victim of the doubt, acknowledging how that destructive voice tried to define her, but she made a crucial decision not to let those thoughts dictate her identity or her future. Instead, she learned to catch those negative thoughts as they arose, to question them, and to rewrite her internal script. She replaced doubt with hope, fear with courage, and self-criticism with self-love. By doing so, she transformed her mind from a battlefield into a platform for change. Her voice, once silenced by doubt, became a beacon of inspiration for millions around the world. Maya Angelou's journey teaches us a vital lesson. When you control what you say to yourself, you control your destiny. The words you tell yourself become the foundation on which your life is built. If you build that foundation with negativity, insecurity, and fear, your life will crumble under the weight of doubt. But if you build it with encouragement, resilience, and belief, your life can soar beyond what you ever imagined. The practice of controlling your self-talk is not a sign of weakness or denial. It is a profound act of strength and self-respect. It means you refuse to let your mind be a place of destruction. You refuse to be your own worst enemy. Instead, you choose to become your own greatest ally. Every one of us faces moments when negative self-talk threatens to take over. We all encounter situations where that inner voice tries to convince us that we're not enough. But the difference lies in what we do next. Do we accept the lie, or do we fight back? Do we allow those thoughts to shape our reality, or do we stand up and rewrite the narrative? This fight is not about ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing that our minds are not always trustworthy narrators. They have biases, fears, and patterns that do not serve us. By developing the habit of catching negative self-talk and challenging it, we create a mental environment where positivity and growth can flourish. Imagine waking up every morning and greeting yourself with kindness instead of criticism. Imagine facing your challenges with the belief that you are capable, worthy, and deserving of success. Imagine how different your life would be if your mind became your greatest supporter rather than your harshest judge. Changing this internal dialogue requires practice and patience. It involves training yourself to notice when negativity creeps in and to actively replace it with empowering truths. For example, when your mind says, "You're not good enough," you can respond, "I am learning and growing every day." When it whispers, "You'll never succeed," you can answer, "Every step forward is progress and I am capable of achieving my goals." This is not just positive thinking, it is a deliberate rewiring of your mental habits. The truth is, your mind is incredibly powerful. It shapes your perception of the world, your actions, and ultimately your life's trajectory. If you do not learn to control the voice inside your head, you give that voice the power to dictate your future. But if you choose to take control, to speak kindly to yourself, and to challenge the negativity, you reclaim that power. This is your chance to break free from the chains of negative self-talk, to step into a new way of thinking that empowers and uplifts you. The moment you begin to change your internal dialogue, you begin to change your life. Your mind is not your enemy, it's your most powerful tool. Use it wisely and you will unlock potential you never thought possible. Your mind is wired to keep you safe. It's a remarkable survival mechanism honed over thousands of years, designed to protect you from danger. But here's the paradox. While it's trying to protect you, your mind often mistakes fear for truth. It takes that ancient alarm system and sounds it off not just when there's real danger, but in response to imagined threats, doubts, and uncertainties. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. These are not always the enemies you think they are. They are often illusions, mind tricks that hold you captive in a cage of your own making. Think about fear for a moment. Not the actual danger of a physical threat, but the fear your mind manufactures every day about what might happen. This fear convinces you to stay small, to not take risks, to avoid discomfort, and to settle for less than you deserve. It's the voice whispering, "What if you fail? What if they say no? What if you're not good enough?" These questions can feel like warnings, but they're often just lies dressed up as caution. Look at the story of J.K. Rowling. Before the world knew the name Harry Potter, before those books became a global phenomenon, Rowling was a struggling single mother living on welfare. She faced rejection after rejection. 12 publishers said no to her manuscript. Imagine the storm raging inside her mind during those times. That voice of fear must have screamed, "Stop now. You're not good enough." It would have been easy to listen, to believe those words, and to give up on her dream, but she didn't. She recognized that fear for what it was, a mind trick. A story her brain was telling her to keep her safe, but at the cost of her dreams. That fear was reality, felt authentic and urgent, but it wasn't the truth. When fear hijacks your mind, it distorts reality. It convinces you that the worst-case scenario is inevitable, that rejection is personal, that failure defines your worth. It feeds you a narrative where your potential is limited, your dreams are risky, and your efforts are doomed to fail. This is the addiction of the mind to fear cycle, so powerful that it can keep you stuck in paralysis, unable to move forward, even when every instinct inside you is telling you to try. But here's the truth. Fear loses its power the moment you recognize it and face it head on. Fear thrives in the shadows, in the unknown, in the silence of unchallenged thoughts. When you shine a light on it, when you say, "I see you, fear, and I know you're not the truth," you strip it of its ability to control you. You expose fear as the illusion it really is. This process of facing fear is not about eliminating it completely. Fear will always show up. That's part of being human. But it's about refusing to let fear dictate your actions, your decisions, or your life. It's about saying, yes, fear is here, but I will move forward anyway. That is courage. That is freedom. Fear is a powerful motivator, but not in the way you might think. It doesn't motivate you toward growth. It motivates you towards safety. It keeps you in your comfort zone, wrapped in the familiar even if that comfort zone is small and limiting. But growth, innovation, and transformation happen when you step into the unknown, when you risk failure, when you face rejection. And you do this not despite your fear, but alongside it. Consider every breakthrough, every great achievement in history. It was fueled not by the absence of fear, but by the decision to act in spite of it. The inventors, the artists, the leaders, the change makers all felt fear. They all faced rejection, but they refused to let that fear define them or stop them. Your mind's addiction to fear is a survival mechanism gone rogue. It is trying to protect you, yes, but it's also holding you back from the life you were meant to live. When you understand this, you begin to see fear not as an enemy, but as a signpost, a signal that you're on the edge of something important. Fear is your mind's way of warning you that you're stepping out of your comfort zone, that you're challenging the status quo, that you're growing instead of running from fear. What if you leaned into it? What if you welcomed it as a companion on your journey? When you do this, you start to weaken fear's grip. You train your mind to see fear as a guide, not a dictator. You build resilience by facing fear repeatedly, by taking small steps forward even when your mind says stop. Imagine how different your life could be if you stopped letting fear run the show. If you recognize that fear is a trick of the mind, not the reality you must accept. If you chose to act with courage despite the trembling in your chest and the pounding in your heart, this is the path to freedom. It's important to remember that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward in spite of fear. Every time you do this, you rewire your brain, making it easier the next time. You build a muscle of bravery that grows stronger with every challenge you face. Fear wants you to believe that you're alone in this battle, but you're not. Everyone wrestles with fear. The difference is those who succeed don't let fear win. They use fear as fuel to drive them forward, not as chains to hold them back. Your mind's addiction to fear is powerful, but so is your will to break free. The first step is awareness, recognizing when fear is speaking, when it's holding you hostage. The second step is choice, deciding not to listen to fear's lies and to move forward anyway. The third step is action, taking that next brave step, no matter how small, to show your mind that you are in control. When you do this, fear loses its power. It becomes a whisper instead of a roar. It becomes a signal instead of a barrier, and you begin to live a life that is not dictated by fear, but defined by courage, purpose, and possibility. This journey isn't easy. Fear is relentless, persistent, and convincing, but so are you. The mind may be addicted to fear, but you are addicted to growth. You are addicted to becoming the person you were always meant to be. So when the fear comes, and it will remember J.K. Rowling, remember the countless others who face rejection, doubt, and failure. Remember that fear is real, but it is not the truth. Face it, strip it of its power, and then move forward into the life waiting for you on the other side. The mind is an incredible engine, constantly racing with thoughts, emotions, worries, and hopes. Yet so often it feels like we're trapped on a runaway train with no brakes, no clear destination, and no control over the chaos inside our heads. The secret to mastering this powerful force within us isn't about forcing control or silencing every thought. It's about awareness. It's about pausing in the middle of the storm and saying, this is not serving me. That moment of awareness, of recognizing that your thoughts are spiraling into worry or doubt, is where true power begins. Awareness is the key that unlocks the door to freedom from the tyranny of an uncontrolled mind. Without it, you are at the mercy of your automatic reactions, those knee-jerk responses that often pull you into anxiety, frustration, or despair. But when you cultivate awareness, you create space between your experience and your reaction. You gain the ability to observe your thoughts as they arise without immediately buying into their narrative or being swept away by them. Mindfulness is not some fleeting trend or a vague concept reserved for meditation gurus. It's a practical, proven tool that transforms the way your brain works. Harvard research shows that consistent mindfulness practice can reduce anxiety and increase emotional regulation by a remarkable 60%. That means you become significantly better at managing your emotions, reducing stress, and making clearer decisions. These aren't just feel-good benefits. They're life-changing shifts that empower you to reclaim control over your mind. Imagine your mind as a car on a winding road. When you're unaware, it's like being a passenger with no hands on the wheel, letting the vehicle swerve wherever it wants. But awareness is like becoming the driver who notices the bends, the hazards, and the opportunities ahead. Suddenly, you have the power to steer, choosing the path you want to take, directing your mental energy towards thoughts that serve you and away from those that don't. This power to redirect your mind doesn't come from willpower alone. It comes from a deeper recognition that thoughts are just that, thoughts. They are not facts, not commands, and certainly not permanent truths. When you realize this, you can detach from negative or unproductive thinking patterns and consciously choose a different perspective. This shift might feel subtle at first, but it's profound. It's like turning a spotlight on the darkness inside your mind and watching it dissolve. The practice of mindfulness and awareness allows you to break free from the spiral of worry and doubt that traps so many people. When you catch yourself ruminating on what might go wrong or replaying past mistakes, you can gently remind yourself, this is not serving me. This simple act interrupts the cycle, creating space for new, more constructive thoughts to take root. Beyond just interrupting negative cycles, mindfulness teaches you to embrace the present moment with curiosity and compassion. Instead of resisting difficult emotions or pushing away uncomfortable thoughts, you learn to observe them without judgment. This doesn't mean you resign yourself to suffering. It means you stop feeding the fire with resistance and allow healing and clarity to emerge naturally. Consider the countless stories of people who have transformed their lives through mindfulness. They often describe feeling trapped by anxiety, depression, or stressable to escape the relentless chatter of their minds. But through awareness, they learn to step back, observe their mental patterns, and respond with intentionality rather than reactivity. This shift empowers them to make better choices, foster healthy relationships, and cultivate deeper peace. The power of awareness extends beyond just calming your mind. It fundamentally changes your relationship with yourself. When you become aware of your inner dialogue, you start to recognize patterns of self-criticism or limiting beliefs that have held you back. Awareness gives you the chance to question those beliefs, to understand where they came from, and to decide whether they deserve a place in your story. This is the beginning of true self-compassion and growth. When you harness mindfulness, you become more than just a thinker. You become a thoughtful observer and intentional creator of your mental landscape. You stop being controlled by automatic impulses and instead respond with wisdom and clarity. This shift has ripple effects in every area of life. Your work, your relationships, your health, and your sense of purpose. The truth is, your mind will always generate thoughts, some helpful, some harmful. You cannot stop the wind from blowing, but you can learn to adjust your sails. Awareness is the skill that allows you to do this. It gives you the ability to notice when your mind is pulling you toward fear, doubt, or distraction, and to gently guide it back to calm, focus, and possibility. Mastering this skill doesn't require hours of meditation or retreating from daily life. It starts with small moments, pausing to take a breath when you notice tension, checking in with yourself before reacting, or simply acknowledging a difficult thought without judgment. Over time, these moments build a new habit of mind, one that empowers you to live fully in the present, rather than being hijacked by worry about the past or future. Imagine living each day with the confidence that no matter what your mind throws at you, you have the power to choose your response. Imagine the freedom of not being pulled into spirals of negativity or doubt, but instead steering your mental energy toward hope, resilience, and growth. This is the gift of mindfulness and awareness. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. When you realize this, you reclaim your power. You become the driver of your own mind, steering it toward a life of clarity, peace, and purpose. The moment you catch yourself in the spiral of worry or doubt and say, "This is not serving me," you have taken the most important step toward mastering your mind. From here, the possibilities are endless. With each moment of awareness, you grow stronger, wiser, and more capable of creating the life you truly want. This is not just about feeling better in the moment. It's about transforming your entire experience of life. The power to change your mind is the power to change your world. And that power is within your reach right now. Your mind is not a static entity fixed at birth like a blueprint etched in stone. Instead, it is more like a muscle, flexible, adaptable, and capable of tremendous growth with the right kind of intentional practice. This understanding alone can change everything. It means that no matter where you are today, no matter how chaotic or unmanageable your thoughts might feel, you have the power to reshape your mind. You have the power to strengthen. Just as an athlete builds strength and endurance through consistent training, think about elite athletes for a moment. Their bodies might be extraordinary, but what truly sets them apart is their mental training. They don't just push their muscles to the limit. They prepare their minds with the same level of rigor and discipline. They use visualization to imagine every detail of their performance, positive affirmations to reinforce belief in themselves, and disciplined routines to cultivate focus and resilience. Michael Phelps, one of the greatest Olympic gold medalists of all time, has openly credited much of his success to his mental training. He knew that physical strength alone wouldn't win races. She needed a mind that was sharp, confident, and unshakable. This is not a privilege reserved for athletes or elite performers. This is a power that belongs to each of us. When you take ownership of your mind, you step into the role of the athlete of your own life. You become responsible for what you feed your thoughts, how you respond to challenges, and how you shape your inner dialogue. You become the coach, the trainer, and the champion all at once. Owning your mind means recognizing that thoughts are not random, they are habits. And like any habit, they can be changed. Just as you might strengthen a muscle by lifting weights repeatedly, you can strengthen your mind by practicing intentional thinking. This includes cultivating positive habits such as gratitude, self-compassion, and goal-focused visualization. It means interrupting the negative loops that have held you captive and replacing them with empowering narratives that fuel growth. The process isn't always easy. Just like muscles can tire and ache before they grow stronger, your mind may resist change. Old beliefs and limiting stories cling tightly because they have been reinforced over time. But the good news is that with consistency and patience, your brain rewires itself, a process called neuroplasticity. This means your mind physically changes as you practice new ways of thinking. You are literally remodeling the architecture of your brain. Take a moment to reflect on the power you hold. The thoughts you choose to focus on, the beliefs you nurture, the stories you tell yourself, they shape your reality. When you own this power, you unlock a life of courage and fulfillment. You break free from the chains of self-doubt and limiting beliefs that have kept you from pursuing your true potential. Imagine waking up every day with a mind trained to see possibilities instead of obstacles, to find solutions instead of problems, and to embrace challenges as opportunities rather than threats. Imagine the resilience you can build when your mind is not your enemy but your strongest ally. This is what happens when you take ownership of your mental training. Mental training can take many forms. It might be daily meditation, journaling, or practicing affirmations. It could be reading inspiring books, surrounding yourself with positive influences, or engaging in conversations that challenge your assumptions. It is about creating disciplined routines that nurture your mental strength, just as you would for your physical health. Remember, owning your mind is also about self-compassion. It's about understanding that progress is a journey filled with setbacks and breakthroughs. It's about forgiving yourself when negative thoughts creep in and gently guiding your mind back to a place of strength and clarity. This ownership is an act of love and respect for yourself, a commitment to living intentionally and courageously. When you train your mind like a muscle, you gain the ability to face adversity with confidence, to pursue your dreams with relentless determination, and to live a life aligned with your deepest values. This is not about perfection. It's about progress and ownership. It's about deciding that you will no longer be a passive victim to the chaos in your mind, but an active creator of your mental landscape. You have the same power that Olympic champions have the power to shape your mind, control your narrative, and define your destiny. The question is not whether you can do this, but whether you will choose to step into that power today. Will you take ownership of your mind, commit to training it, and unlock the extraordinary life waiting on the other side? Your mind is your most valuable asset. Treat it with the care, discipline, and intentionality it deserves. Build it, train it, and own it, because when you do, you become unstoppable. Your mind is the constant companion that never leaves your side. Through every challenge you face, every triumph you celebrate, every failure that threatens to break you, it is there, sometimes whispering encouragement, sometimes shouting doubt, but always present. It's the battlefield on which your greatest wars are fought and the arena where your most significant victories are won. This relentless presence is a gift, but it can also be your fiercest enemy if left unchecked. The good news, it can just as easily become your greatest champion. The choice lies squarely in your hands. Every moment you spend letting your mind run wild, dragging you deeper into fear, self-doubt, and negativity, is a moment you give away your power. You might feel as if your thoughts control you, as if you're merely a passenger swept up in a storm of uncontrollable emotions and narratives. But the truth is that your mind is not a force of nature beyond your influence. It is a powerful tool you can master, harness, and train with intention and care. Mastering your mind doesn't mean silencing every thought or becoming immune to pain. It means developing a relationship with your inner world, that allows you to recognize the stories that serve you and the ones that don't. It means catching yourself when your mind spirals into doubt and gently steering it back to a place of clarity and courage. It means training your mental muscles with awareness and love, like a gardener tending to a fragile seedling until it grows into a towering tree. When you learn to harness the power of your mind, you unlock a life filled with possibility. Instead of being pulled under by the current of your fears, you become the captain of your own ship, charting a course through the storms. Instead of being paralyzed by what-ifs and past regrets, you move forward with confidence, resilience, and purpose. This is not wishful thinking or naive optimism. It is a profound transformation, rooted in the simple truth that you have the power to shape your mental landscape. The battle to master your mind is ongoing. It requires patience, practice, and compassion for yourself when you stumble. But every step you take toward awareness strengthens your ability to choose your response rather than react impulsively. Every moment you invest in cultivating positive thoughts and beliefs rewires your brain, creating new pathways that support growth and fulfillment. This is how you change not just your mind but your life. Imagine living each day with a mind that supports you, encourages you, and propels you toward your highest potential. Imagine waking up knowing that no matter what challenges arise, you have the internal strength to meet them with grace and determination. This is the power that comes from mastering your mind. You don't have to wait for a perfect moment or a sudden burst of willpower. The power is available to you right now in this very moment when you choose to pause, observe, and take ownership of your thoughts. When you do, you reclaim your freedom from fear, doubt, and negativity. You step into a life where your mind is your ally, not your adversary. So make the choice. Choose to train your mind with awareness and love. Choose to harness its power for good. Choose to become the champion of your own mental world. Because when you do, you don't just change your mind, you change your life. And that change will ripple outwards, transforming everything around you in ways you never imagined possible.